Very good evening to you all. Welcome to Job Grade IS. I hope you are all doing good. And yesterday your wait is over. The results of the preliminary examination of UPSC Civil Services 2025 has been declared. Right? Some of you have cleared the examination. In total, 14,162 aspirants qualified for the mains examination, and rest of them didn't qualify for the mains examination. If you are prepared well for the prelims examination and if you failed in the examination, no need to lose heart. My message is very clear to you all. Don't lose heart. Now prelims 2025 is over. It's time to focus on the next attempt. If you have failed the prelims examination, right? Think about your next 365 days. Next year, I think prelims will be held in the month of May only. Again, mains will be held from 21st or 22nd of August in 2026. If you are determined, then focus on your next attempt. No need to lose heart. Give yourself 3 to 4 days for rebounds and then get back to your work. So, for aspirants who have cleared the UPSC Civil Services 2025, Job Grade IAS has launched the Mains Enrichment Programme. Job Grade IAS has launched the Mains Enrichment Programme. What is the meaning of Mains Enrichment Programme? What is the meaning of Mains Enrichment Programme and how it is different from a traditional mains guidance program? Right? There is one thing is mains guidance. There is one thing is called mains guidance. Mains guidance, and another one is mains enrichment. In mains guidance program, what we do the coverage of syllabus holistically. But in mains enrichment, we are not just focused on the covering of the syllabus, but we are focused on the answer writing, the keywords, the structuring of an answer. It's a blitzkrieg approach. You know the blitzkrieg. If you have studied the world history, it's high time to study the world history right now because your mains examination is going to be held in the month of August. Blitzkrieg was a technique used by the Germans. Fast attacks to surprise the enemy. Now you will have to surprise the examiner. Who is going to surprise you in mains examination of 2025? And for that purpose, we have launched this Mains Enrichment Program. This Mains Enrichment Program. Right. So what are the key features of Mains Enrichment Program? A structured guidance, right? What will we focus? At the end of the day, mains is all about answer writing. Mains is all about answer writing. And as I told you in my previous sessions, here we are not going to write the answers. We are not going to write the answers. We are here to build the answers. Right? And what is the backbone of answer building? Is brainstorming. As I have told you, this is the high time for the mains aspirants to write the answers, and all over the India, the mains aspirants are relentlessly writing the answers. But what they are not focused on over the concept of answer building and brainstorming, and that is the modulus operandi of this mains enrichment program. So this is session 2 of our mains enrichment program. Ramendra sir has taken the session of Indian polity and governance, which is GS paper 2. I, Aditya, will take the session of Indian history, art and culture, world history and post Indian independence. I am dealing with these history, art and culture portion of GS paper 1. Right. So our mandate is that how to write a balanced answer, or how to build a balanced answer for mains examination as far as history is concerned, as far as history, art and culture is concerned. I think I have taken 3 or 4 sessions on YT Live, right? They were the same sessions, but today we will discuss different questions, but with unique approach. Now, first of all, what you need to do in examination, or while writing the mock test, or while practicing the answer writing, or while building the answer writing, you need to understand the question thoroughly. What is the demand of the question? What is the demand of the question? Demand of the mains question is the demand of the Union Public Service Commission, right? The demand of the question is the demand of the UPSC. So we are here to appease or satisfy the demand of Union Public Service Commission, right? So first of all, you need to identify the directive keywords. You need to identify the directive keywords. Directive keywords means they are giving you certain direction, that what they are demanding. Let us take one example: examine, discuss, evaluate. Whenever and in any question, examiner is asking you that examine the fact, examine the contribution of Bhagat Singh in the modern Indian history. What you need to do? You need to have a balanced opinion about it. What were the positives of the movement that were led by Bhagat Singh and his colleagues, and what were the negatives? So this is the examination, right? And what we do in examination, let us suppose you are my examiner and I am writing an answer for you. What will you do? Will you say everything is correct? No. You will examine both positively and negatively. You will appreciate certain points and you will criticize certain points. So this is the concept of examine, right? This is the concept of examine, which means you are telling both, you are writing both positives and negatives. Now discuss. Discuss. The concept of discuss is also same as examine. Let us suppose I am discussing the concept of the reasons behind the revolt of 1857. What we are doing, whenever we are discussing certain topic as far as the demand of the UPSC, what we need to do, we need to prioritize the topic. There were certain reasons behind the revolt of 1857. Which was the most important? Which was the most important reason? Economic reasons. Then you will have political reasons. Then you will have religious reasons, and then you will have military reasons, right? There are certain 4 or 5 reasons. You need to know how to give priority. You need to know how to give the priority. Next is evaluate. It is same as examine. What examiner do with you? He or she evaluate your copy. He or she give you remarks, right? So whenever you are evaluating any question, evaluate the contribution of Imperial Cholas. Evaluate the contribution of Imperial Cholas in the development of art and architecture of South India. So what you are doing? You are giving a 360-degree overview of the Cholas as far as art and architecture of South India is concerned. Next is elucidate. Elucidate and explain, both are same word. Whenever you see this word elucidate, what you need to do? You need to give the full-fledged explanation of the question as per the demand. And how we will decode the demand, we will see further. Now, break down the question. So what I have told you, first of all, identify the keyword, such as elucidate, such as evaluate, such as estimate, such as analyze, such as critically analyze. Right? Whenever you are elucidating, which means you need to explain, you need to explain. Whenever you are evaluating, you need to examine both positives as well as negatives. Whenever you are estimating, again, you are giving a 360-degree view. 360-degree view. I have shown you one question. Estimate the contribution of Pallavas in the development of architecture and literature of South India. So what we done, whenever we see the word estimate and whenever we are giving a 360-degree view, so in conclusion, what you need to write? You need to write their legacy in the present time as well as in the contemporary times. Whenever you are analyzing a question, these are the open-ended question. These are the open-ended question. You can analyze as per your mindset. Analyze the contribution of Ashoka in the modern history. Analyze the fact that Ashoka accepted the Buddhism and after this the fall of Mauryan Empire started. So what you need to do? You need to analyze. Now critically analyze, which means you are giving certain negative points. Negative points. But at the end of the day, your analysis or your critical analysis must be a constructive criticism. Constructive criticism. Let us suppose, apart from the history, you are discussing a certain topic of GS paper 2, polity and governance, and you have to write on certain policy. Let us suppose the policy of one nation, one election. So will you criticize that it is bad or something? Even people who used to collect themselves on a chai ki thadi can discuss like this. You are an UPSC aspirant. What you need to do? You need to give a constructive criticism, which means the policy is good, but there are certain concerns. And what are the solutions of those concerns? Clear? Now, structure your answer effectively. Structure your answer effectively. How will you structure your answer effectively? Let us suppose I am asking one question to you that tell me something about yourself. Or you can write about yourself, which means what you will write. Would you like to prefer write in a paragraph or would you like to prefer to write in bullet points? I'll say bullet points, which means name, your father's name, mother's name, right? Your education qualification, right? How will you write? What I'm telling you, you need to structure your answer in such a manner that it should be acceptable or it should be attractive to the examiner. So what you need to write is, first of all, introduction. What you need to write is introduction. So what you will write in introduction, first of all, you will define the topic. What is being asked in the question paper? Let us suppose there was one question, again I have discussed it, estimate the contribution of, there is one question. What are the main features of, I think this question is here. Estimate the contribution of Pallavas of Kanchi for the development of art and literature of South India. So I'm not talking about the structuring, the whole structuring of this topic, but I'm asking about the introduction. So what you will write? Who were Pallavas? Who were Pallavas? Right? They were the rulers of South India. They ruled for 4th century AD to 9th century AD, as I discussed in the earlier session. Clear? And their contribution in art and literature is profound and impacting the present society of South India. So what I have told you about Pallavas and their timeline. Mark my words, whenever you are writing an answer of Indian history, Indian art and culture, world history or post-Indian independence, if you are not providing the precise timeline, it's a sin while you are writing the answer. You will be penalized for this. Always mention the relevant timeline whenever you are answering a question in the history. Now, we have discussed these 2 points of introduction. Now, what you will write in body? So, body, basically the answer of the body of the answer is somewhere which is mostly read by an examiner. Introduction is always read, but you know very well the nature of the examination of UPSC. They have very less time to evaluate your copies. So, they focus on the subheadings. If your subheadings are correct, which means you are on the right approach. So, focus on right approach. Focus on right approach, which means subheadings, arguments, and examples. What I've told you in the earlier sessions, that your answer must be lucrative by subheadings. And how will you identify the subheadings? For this purpose, for subheadings, what you need to do? Fragment the question. Divide the question in 2 parts or 3 parts. You will automatically have your subheadings. So let me tell you one thing. We were discussing about the Pallavas in recent session. Now I am going to write the body of this answer. So what they have asked? They asked their contribution in art and literature. First of all, I will discuss their art. Then I will discuss their literature. These are the headings. As far as art is concerned, art is a multidimensional thing. So what is? You can discuss their temple architecture. You can discuss their inscriptions. You can discuss their, I think, inscriptions, and then you can discuss their forms. Different form of arts, Dravidian architecture, right? What was written in that particular inscription, right? And as well as you can discuss about their idols. Next is literature. So this is a subheading. These 3 are subheadings. Now, as far as literature is concerned, you will see there were two types of literature existed and developed and patronized by the Pallava kings. One was Sanskrit literature, and another was Tamil literature. And the most profound was Grantham, script, and one more was religious literature. Because Pallavas were ruling in South India, and you know the Bhakti movement started from South India. There were two kind of saints, Alvar and Nainars. Nainars were the followers of Lord Shiva. Alvars were followers of Lord Vishnu, and then they emerged as Shaiv and Vaishnav. So these kind of subheadings are required in body. Let us suppose, imagine you are writing this question in the paragraph form versus you are writing this answer in the form of subheading. You are mature people, you have cleared the prelims, you know which one is more beneficial, which one is more beneficial, which one is more profitable. Ultimately, our goal is to score higher in mains, to secure your required rank, whether it is IAS, IPS, IRS or any other service. Generally, it is IAS preferred by most of the aspirants. So next is, divide the answer in clear subheadings. Always provide appropriate argument supported by valid facts. I told you these things many times. Your answer must be supported by a right argument, and this should be supported by the valid facts. You cannot just rely on the facts in mains answer writing. Let us suppose you are writing an answer, the contribution of Pallavas, or one more question that was asked in UPSC Civil Services Mains 2024. Let me show you the question. Underline the changes in the field of society and economy from the Rig Vedic to later Vedic period. Will you start your answer writing in your body by just merely giving the examples? No. Right? First of all, you need to give the right argument. Let us suppose you're discussing about the society. You are discussing about the society. So what you need to write first? Nature of the society. Nature of the society. Nature of the society. What was the first feature? Patriarchal. Patriarchal society. Clear? Patriarchal society. Okay. One thing that you should keep in mind, the word limit of an answer. The content should be concise and precise. Right? So this is an art. It does not come to you overnight. Either it will come you after hours and hours of practice, or we will teach you in our Mains Enrichment Program. Now, there is one question. I was discussing this slide. We discuss the question. Then we will give the conclusion at the end of the day. What end of the answer? What we need to write? The conclusion. The conclusion. So what you will write in conclusion whenever a question is concerned, no matter what have been asked, whether you want to elucidate, you want to estimate, you want to explain, you want to critically analyze, you want to analyze, or you want to do anything with the question, what you will write in the conclusion? You need to give a summary of a body. You need to give the summary of the body. You have no other option. You have no other option to experiment, because conclusion should be in such a manner that it must satisfy the points that you have mentioned in the body. So it's better to give a summary of body. Generally, what we write? Summary of body that must justify the demand of the question. Demand of the question. So this is how you write an answer. I'm not saying you write an answer, you frame an answer, you build an answer. Clear? So now let us discuss one topic. These topics estimate the contribution of Pallavas of Kachi for the development of art and architecture, art and literature of South India. The word limit was 150 words. This was asked in recently in Civil Services Mains 2024. We have discussed it thoroughly. Now underline the changes in the field of society and economy from the Rig Vedic to the later Vedic period. Again, our 10 marker, 150 words. We have discussed this topic in UPSC Civil Services Mains 2024, right? While I was discussing the PYQs, even I have given you a demo how to write the answer perfectly, right? I write with my own. So these were the questions that I have discussed. You can subscribe the Job Grade IAS channel and you can watch the live session. You will get the entire solution. Now, question of the day has arrived, and this question was asked in CSE Mains 2023, and I think it was a 10 marker. Means word limit was 150 words. Let us discuss this question holistically. The question is, what you need to focus first. What are the main features of Vedic society and religion? Do you think some of the features are still prevailing in the Indian society? So what I'm telling you is, this is a repeated theme. This is a repeated theme. Same concept of the same question from Vedic, from the same topic was asked in 2024 recent civil services, and now recently this question was asked in UPSC Civil Services 2023. Okay, viral, thank you. So now we are going to discuss this question. So what I message to you through this question, themes are constantly repeating in the UPSC mains examination. Themes are repeated in CSE mains exam. In CSE mains examination. Clear? Now, so first of all, let us understand the demand of the question. As per our mandate, we will discuss each and every point, but as per the explanation that I have given you earlier. What are the main features of Vedic society and religion? This is part 1. This is part 1. What they are asking? Main features. Main features. Main features of Vedic society, Sorry guys, the board is creating problem. Main features of Vedic society and religion. So what are these two keywords? What are these two keywords? Society and religion. Sorry. Society and religion. These are the two keywords. You need to discuss separately. There is one heading and another heading we have picked up. Next is, do you think some of the features are still prevailing in Indian society? This is an open-ended question. The part 2 is an open-ended part. They want you to know your perspective. But what is beneficial for you? You need to accept that many practices of Vedic culture are still prevailing in the Indian society. Right? Don't be like a philosopher that I don't think that these practices are still going. They're going on. What you need to write as per the demand of the question, yes, there are certain practices which are still continuing, and these are the practices. So there are one heading and there are certain subheadings under this point. So first of all, write the introduction. What I have told you in introduction, you need to define the topic as well as with the precise timeline. Vedic period, 1500 to 500 BC marks a transformative phase in ancient India, during which the composition of four Vedas established during social, religious, and philosophical foundations. Right. So, if you are very good at this topic, there are chances that you will make certain mistakes, because this topic is vast and you could mention the name of four Vedas in introduction: Rig Ved, Yajurved, Samved, and Atharved, but it is not obligatory to always to mention the names. Right. Next is, it was a time, the nature of Rigvedic culture. The nature of Rigvedic culture. What kind of culture it was? A culture is made of its people. Right. People are not the product of culture. Culture is a product of people. So now the culture was, they were surviving on pastoral or agrarian economy. They were surviving on pastoral or agrarian economy. Pastoral means cattle rearing, right? Cattle rearing. And agrarian way means they were doing agriculture. You can see the shift from Rigvedic culture to later Vedic culture. In Rigvedic culture, they were based on livestock and pastoral economy. But in later Vedic culture, with the advent of iron, they started agriculture and they started settling on particular places. So now it was a time when pastoral agrarian way of life, ritual centric religion, nascent social stratification. What is nascent social stratification is? Nascent social stratification I have mentioned in this introduction, because that time, if you compare, they want to compare, right? What they are asking, do you think some of the features are still prevailing? Part 1 and part 2 do not give introduction by just keeping in mind the part 1. Some people just introduce the society and religion. But what I have written here, it was the time when pastoral and agrarian way of life, ritual centric religion, nascent social stratification. This is the basic keyword. This is the basic keyword. Why the social stratification on a nascent stage? Because we are comparing the Vedic culture with the present day society. In society, we see a lot of caste, lot of gotras, lot of creed, lot of religion, lot of descents. But in Vedic culture, there were just four varna: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. In Rigvedic culture, these four varnas were based on work. If you are born in a Shudra family and working like a Brahman, then you are a Brahman. If you are born in a Brahman family but working like a Kshatriya, that means you are a Kshatriya. But in later Vedic period, the Varna system became rigid. The basis of the Varna culture was birth. No matter how well versed you are in Vedas and mantras, if you are born in a Shudra family, you are a Shudra. No matter how good at your warrior skills, but if you are born in a Vaishya family, you are a Vaishya. But this was the only social stratification. It was not like present times. Certain caste, certain subcaste, certain gotras, right? The concept of gotra was also a product of Vedic period, but it is now somehow deteriorated in present time. Anyways, so now we will start discussing the question with heading and subheadings. First of all, we are discussing the body, feature of Vedic society. So what was the base of Vedic society? It was family. It was family, or in Hindi we are known as Kul. Family or Kul. Kul was a group of certain families, but family was the basic unit of Rigvedic society. Now, another feature, the nature of the society was patriarchal. Patriarchal. It was not matriarchal. Thou, the condition of women was satisfactory. It was mandatory for women to participate in yajna with their husbands. Right? The family structure was too large to be called a joint family. So what we have discussed? We have discussed the three major points. Family was the basic unit. patriarchal society, and the concept of joint family. Now, the Varna system that I have discussed earlier, towards the end of Vedic civilization, Vedic society was divided into 4 Varnas: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudras. More precisely, if I tell you what you need to write here, in Rig Vedic culture, the base of, there were 4 Varnas emerged: Brahman, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Shudra. But during Rig Vedic period, the basis, let me write for you. This is Rig Vedic period. Now it existed from 1500 BCE to 1000 BC, and this is later Vedic period, and this is later Vedic period, and this is existing from 1000 BC to 600 BC. Right? As far as Varna system is concerned, you know the 4 Varnas, don't need to write here. It was based on birth, based on work, not birth. And here the Varna system was based on birth. So the concept of Varna system emerged in the late Rigvedic period, and that went on its rigidness in the later Vedic period. The next point is, you are giving the subheadings of society. Marriage, monogamous marriages were preferred in the Vedic society, such as polygamy or polyandry, which means one man could maintain multiple wives, or vice versa. Polyandry means one lady could survive on multiple husbands. Right? Language is an important part of society. Sanskrit was the principal language that was used in the Vedic society. Next is importance of Vedas. You know very well, there are 4 Vedas. Number is Rig Ved, and this Ved was compiled in or during Rig Vedic period. Next is Yajurved. Next is Samved. The last one is Atharvaved. These three were compiled during later Vedic period. Clear? So now Vedas were very important, and Vedas are the history of Vedic culture. We draw the history of Rig Vedic period from the Rig Veda, and we draw certain phonetics, the procedure, the medical science, the history of medical science from Atharvaveda, Samveda, and Yajurveda. Next is nature. So what kind of nature of Vedic society? If we talk about the nature of this society, this Indian society or this global society, we are in the age of artificial intelligence. Right? We are in a digital society. You have seen most of the works are digital now. But that time the society was pastoral. So what was the transition of society from Rig Vedic culture to later Vedic culture? Let us suppose this is Rig Vedic culture, this is Rig Vedic society, and it is transitioning in later Vedic society. And this transition is from pastoral to agrarian. You were the herders. You were the herders. And later on in later Vedic period, you became the peasants or the farmers. You became the farmers. Vedic society was pastoral in nature, will later on transformed into agriculturalist, which means there is a comparison between, there is a transition, not comparison, transition between Rig Vedic period to later Vedic period. Next is property rights. Property is also a part of society, right? So what kind of property right existed in Rig Vedic to later Vedic culture? There was no concept of private property. There was no concept of private property. No concept we directly write private property का concept. It never existed. Let us suppose there is a land, and if the Raja of any Vedic age, any Raja of Vedic age is claiming that this land is my private property, it was strictly prohibited for him, because land was the collective property of tribe. Land was the collective property of the tribe, and role of king was to protect the tribe during the war. Right? So there is no concept of private property. Vedic society did not believe in private property, but in community ownership or the collective ownership. Member of tribes or a tribe was a collective owner of a certain landmass. Next is their occupation. The division of social groups was based on occupation alone. One's occupation did not depend on birth. That is very clear. If you see the Rig Veda, especially the 9th mandal of Rig Veda, what a man is saying, what a rishi is saying: I am a poet, my father is a physician, and my mother is a housemaker, and we all pray for wealth. We all pray for wealth, which means I born, but I am not born as a physician. My father is a physician, but I am not a physician. I am a poet, right? My mother is a homemaker. She is a housewife, but I am not doing the domestic work. But what is our collective aim is wealth, right? But in later Vedic culture, you will see the transition of work that was based on birth, because the rigid Varna system. So that was the occupation. These points are enough. These are the subheadings. Next is religion. We have discussed the society. What were the certain feature of Rig Vedic religion? So Ved were the primary sources. Ved were the primary sources of religious practice. Okay. So let me discuss for more 5 minutes. Okay. So now Vedas were the primary sources of religious practice. Vedas were the primary source of religious practice. Let us suppose there were 4 Vedas. Huh? There were 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samved, and Atharved. We study about this in Vedic literature. Vedic literature. You have one Rig Veda, you have Yajur Veda, you have Samved, and you have Atharved. You have Atharved. So what you need to understand, this Rig Veda was the collection of Vedic mantras. Collection of Vedic mantras. Right? There were certain mantras for certain purposes were written in Rig Veda. Yajur Veda was the collection of same mantras, but it dealt with the procedure of yagyas. procedural purpose of yajnas. Procedural purpose of yajnas. Samveda was related to phonetics. Phonetics means tone. Phonetics means tones. On what tone you have to recite a certain mantra to get its effect. To get its effect. And Yajurveda and Atharveda deal with the medicine. Deal with the medicines. Right? So now what we have to do with the religion? These three Vedas were the source of Vedic religion. Now, another thing that we can discuss in the Rig Vedic religion was the type of deities. What kind of Devi and Devta used to worshipped by the Vedic people, for the native of Vedic culture. So Vedic society believed in naturalistic gods. So whenever you see the Rig Vedic culture, you will have naturalistic gods. The gods which represent the nature, or nature is God only. Both were correct. The most prominent god of Rig Vedic culture was Indra, because there are around 250 hymns of Rig Veda dedicated to Indra. Indra is known as Purandar, which means destroyer of forts. He is the god of rain, he is the god of thunder. Both rain and thunder in excessive amount can destroy the mankind, can destroy any civilization. So they worshipped Indra to appease him. He was worshipped for victory for cows. Cows were the main asset of the people of Rig Vedic age. Indra was a prominent god. For example, Indra was the god of rain and thunder. There are a number of Rig Vedic gods like Rudra, Soma, Varun and Vishnu. One more example is Agni. What you need to do with Agni? You perform sacrifices. You perform Havan, and what you need to do? You need to offer, let us suppose, ghee, let us suppose coconut in the fire. And what is the significance? Fire is a mediator between a deity and a human being. Fire is a mediator, which is whatever you are offering through fire will be received by your deity. And when the deity will appease, your work will go in flow. Clear? Agni was an important god that time. Now you can imagine the relevance of Agni even in present time. What it signifies that certain practice of Vedic culture are still prevailing at present time. Clear? So now Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Prajapati, they became the gods of later Vedic culture. In later Vedic culture, the importance of Indra declined. The importance of Prajapati, the importance of Vishnu, the importance of Lord Shiva increased. Even there was a new god emerged as Pushan. Pushan was the god of Shudras. But these examples are enough to satisfy this argument. So this is an argument. And these are examples or facts. Right? These facts are satisfying this argument, which means our answer is going in right direction. Now the next word is rituals and sacrifices. So sacrifice or Havan was an integral part of Vedic culture. For example, for sacrifices, yajnas were performed. This is an argument again. This is an argument. And what is the valid fact? What is the valid fact? They were performed by the priest, and example is important yajnas included Ashwamedh, Vajpayee and Rajsuya. Ashwamedh yajna you know very well. One of the mightiest kings of the region used to perform these kind of yajnas, and they used to release his horse, and the horse cover certain territory, and if any horse is caught by another king, he has to fight with the owner of the horse, right, to defeat him in the war. That was the concept of Ashwamedha. Vajpayee, the chariot race. Rajsuya, certain kings accept the suzerainty of a mightier king, right? This is Rajsuya. Now, what are the Vedic features still prevail at present? This is part 2. This is part 2. So, first of all, patriarchy. First of all, patriarchy. Still you see the elements of patriarchy in our Indian society from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. You know, the men are dominating in the society. Men are, have the more influence in the families, whether it is finances, whether it is the final decisions, right? Even whenever you are going on a trip or something, you need to seek permission of your father, right? Or you will have to approach your father through your mother or your elder siblings. So that is the importance of father in the family, and that is an element of patriarchy. True Indian society is marching towards, now Indian society is marching towards modernization. The patriarchy still persists, especially in religious and cultural matters. Next is polytheism. What we have seen in Vedic culture, polytheism. Sometimes you are worshipping Indra, sometimes you are worshipping Agni, sometimes you are worshipping Varun, sometimes you are worshipping Som, sometimes you are worshipping Lord Vishnu, sometimes you are worshipping Lord Shiva, sometimes you are worshipping Pushan. What it is called? Polytheism. You believe in multiple gods, believe in multiple entities, right? Even this is relevant, this is prevailing at present time. You worship Hanumanji, you worship Lord Shiva, you visit the temple of Devi, you visit temple of any Devata, you visit the temple of any great saint, because the concept of polytheism, which is still prevailing even at present times, and it has its root in the Vedic culture. The Vedic culture. Next is family. Next is family. Now, joint family culture is somewhere vanishing from the society, but still there are many joint families which are still existing. The concept of joint family has its roots in the Vedic culture, right? Even at present time, you can see many of your friends are living in joint families, right? So the concept of joint family is also there. Now it is very less because of nuclear family, because of the economic conditions of the country, right? Marriage, like Vedic society, monogamous marriages are still prevalent in Indian society. So I think this point that I don't need to discuss because of certain cases, right? Monogamous marriages are happening everywhere in India. Now, what is the conclusion? What you will write in conclusion? You will write, generally students ask me, sir, what is the way forward? Way forward cannot be right in each and every answer, but conclusion can be. What is the conclusion? Conclusion must satisfy the points of your body. If your conclusion is not able to satisfy the points that you have mentioned in the body, your answer is a waste. Your answer is a waste material, right? It will not be evaluated very well by the examiner. Examiner will reward you 4 out of 10 or 2 out of 10, right? So what you will write in conclusion? As Vedic society and religion still hold importance in modern Indian society, some ideal features of the Vedic society, like no to idol worship, respectable position of women, etc., should be adopted, while shedding the negative features of it. And I think this is the best conclusion, because it is also satisfying the demand of the contents. Why? Because there was patriarchy, but condition of women was satisfactory, as I mentioned earlier. Today, there are a lot of religious malpractices on the name of idol worship in each and every religion. But in Vedic culture, there is no concept of idol worship. There is no concept of idol worship. Now, the condition of women at present time is degrading. If you see, let us leave this point. If you discuss the condition of men at present time, you know what kind of cases are happening with men also. So the condition of men and women both are degrading in the present Indian society. But as far as female is concerned, it is not up to the mark. Female need a lot of empowerment. So should be adopted while shedding the negative features of it. So this was the entire content of this question. This is how you will write an answer. So join the Mains Enrichment batch of UPSC Civil Services 2025. You will get the paid classes on the app, and you will be able to satisfy the demand of the examiner, because mains examination is the backbone of the UPSC Civil Services. Your rank will be determined with your marks in the mains examination, by the marks of mains examination, not with the prelims examination. Prelims examination is qualifying in nature, right? But don't take prelims very lightly. It is the eliminating stage and considered as the toughest stage of the examination. But it is the mains examination, it is the marks of your mains examination that will give you a rank and that will give you a service. Right, so join Mains Enrichment Batch, Mains Enrichment Program by Job Grade IAS for UPSC Civil Services Mains 2025, and subscribe Job Grade IAS channel, download the app, and for more guidance for UPSC Civil Services 2026, you can also download the Ignite Foundation batch of UPSC Civil Services 2026. So this was all from my side.